Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Sigma Virtual Hour. I am your host, Brother Kevon Easley, and tonight we are going to be talking about fitness and the journey to fitness and what it takes to get there. How do we start? How do we keep it going? How do we motivate ourselves in order to be successful? Fitness is something that a lot of us talk about. We say that we want to get a gym membership, we get the gym membership, but is it effective? To help us with that, to help us answer that question, we have a special guest tonight by the name of Brother Rodney Addison. And Rodney, man, welcome to our Sigma Virtual Hour, man. I want to turn things over to you so that you can take some time out to introduce yourself to us and tell us some of the good things that you are working on, some of your awards, some of your accolades that you have, man. I know that you got quite a bit of them, man. So share it with us, man, and then we'll get into our questions.
Absolutely. Good evening, brothers. Pray all is well. My name is Rodney Addison. I initiated at Delaware State University fall '09. In my official capacity, I'm a nutritionist going on 17 years. I am currently the current Mr. America Open Bodybuilding Champion, which means I'm the highest title holder of natural bodybuilding in the entire country. I run a nonprofit known as Onyx Repository Foundation, which we deal with economic development through technology. In the current, we develop platforms that our community largely utilizes, but typically we do not own. So we started to create these platforms to put back the economic strength into our communities. Great example. Everybody uses Uber. Well, guess what? I've developed our own version of Uber for our community, well, in general, but for our community, so that I can start hiring within our community, put the dollar value back into our community, and the revenue we do generate from the platforms have turned into grants and low interest loans, start other Black-owned businesses. So from a fitness and wellness standpoint, my degree is in nursing. I specialize in end-stage renal disease, but I focus on nutrition. So my official capacity, I'm a nutritionist full time.
Oh
Uh,
man,
the
that's good.
I recently got the key to the city for Paterson, New Jersey, and the governor of New Jersey, as well as the assemblymen and the senators, gave me a proclamation for winning the Mr. America competition because I'm the first New Jerseyan to win the title while the show was held in New Jersey.
Man, that's outstanding, man. How long have you been into bodybuilding?
So let's see. From a definition standpoint, bodybuilding is if you're utilizing strength training as a means to better your individual body composition, you are a bodybuilder. You're not necessarily a competitor. No, there's two sides to the coin, right? So as a bodybuilder, someone who's been strength training, virtually all my adult life, going on 20 plus years. But as a bodybuilder, I've been a competing bodybuilder going on 10 years as of this year. I started competing back in 2014. And this is before I knew there was a natural side to the stereotype of bodybuilding, right? Everybody knows, oh, the drug usage and all that. But guess what? There's over 50 natural organizations in bodybuilding to the one organization who utilizes enhancing technology, enhancing drugs. So I competed from the lowest level as a men's physique competitor. I climbed my way up to classic physique competitor, all the way to open bodybuilding. And I stepped on stage at 190 to 200 pounds in the light heavyweight category. So about going on 10 years.
Oh man, that's amazing, man. Well, by that definition, there's a lot of bodybuilders walking around. I don't know if they are if the body style that they got is competitive worthy, but I guess, however you building your composition, you building your body.
And
So
brother, and that is definitely the key term is, are you competitive, right? You got those who get on stage with a beach body thinking they look good. Well, there's a vast difference between beach body and stage body. You have to come correct, right? So in bodybuilding, there's categories that they think they look for. They look for conditioning, they look for leanness, they look for density, maturity, symmetry, and ability to pose a beautiful body. You can have the best body on stage, but if you can't pose it, you're going to lose.
wow. So you said something that was that kind of caught my attention. You said symmetry, right? So at the gym, I think I've seen a couple of guys where one shoulder was bigger than the other. Is that what you're talking about when you say symmetry?
A small part of it all, symmetry is about the completeness of the overall physique, right? So from neck down to kneecaps, because unfortunately, for majority of black men, most of us don't got calves. It just is what it is, and I'm one of them brothers. But from my shoulders down to my kneecaps, I'm darn near complete. But symmetry specifically comes down to genetics. You can't you can only manipulate your symmetry but so much. Your God-given symmetry is based upon the development of your muscle bellies, right? And the muscle bellies is dictated based on the origin and the insertion of where the muscle connects from bone to bone. So great example for most black men who have smaller calves, it's because the origin of their calf is so high as well as the insertion. So they got all this shin bone, but not enough calf stretch to make the calf look fuller and larger. It is what it is. That's your genetics. So as a natural athlete or a natural bodybuilder specifically, you can't really change that, no matter how much weight you put on, how much muscle you put on.
So if I were to, what about diet and where does someone start who wants to go into bodybuilding?
Right. So diet is the bulk of what it comes down to being a competitive athlete. You can train as hard as you want, but the concept behind it all, and we've all heard it, is that you can't outtrain a bad diet, and you really can't. So dieting comes down to the specifics of sustainability and hitting your macronutrients, right? There is no such thing as unhealthy food. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that right now. There is no such thing as unhealthy food because health is specific to the individual need. What is right for you may harm another. Great example, brother Kevon, do you like broccoli?
I do.
Well, watch this. Me as an individual, I cannot consume broccoli in a quantity that's normal for somebody else. Why? Broccoli has a molecule known as raffinose that acts as a short chain sugar molecule that agitates my GI. So, to that definition, if you cannot chemically and mechanically digest a food to completion, extract the nutritional content that is possessed by the food, there is no benefit.
Mm,
So before we demonize food and we get to the whole point of what's healthy and not, you must ask yourself, what does my body agree with sustainability wise for long and longevity wise? Because what you deem healthy may not necessarily be healthy for everybody or for you in general. You just like it because it was deemed healthy.
right, because it's
So
green.
exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
to that point, there is no such thing as a healthy food because health is specific to what your body is desiring to keep itself alive and or thriving. So for someone who wants to get into bodybuilding, there is a multitude of formulas you must first understand. Is one, how do I eat for my blood type? How do I eat for my body type? And how do I eat for my activity output, right? And you must know how to calculate your TDEE and measure your metabolism. So before I get too scientifically, because I love the science behind it all, you have to know how to maximize metabolic output around your nutrition. So one, your metabolism is broken down to four categories: your teeth, your eats, your neats, and your BMR. Your eats is short for exercise activity thermogenesis, right? That's planned activity. But unfortunately, you do not burn that many calories in the gym.
Right.
Your eat only accounts for 5% of calories burned for the day. So if you are a 250-pound man and you have to burn an X amount of upwards of 3,500 calories a day, and you really think you're going to go beast mode in the gym and burn that many calories in a day, you're wrong. You're not. You will only burn about 5% of your daily calories in the gym. And the reason for that is calorie burning is cumulative. It's not subjective to an activity.
So it
And
happens over time.
it happens over time, right? And the effort you put in at the beginning of your workout is not the same effort throughout the entirety. So the calorie threshold drops as your effort drops. Doesn't matter how many reps you do. The second part of your metabolism is called your teeth, your thermogenetic effect of food. you burn more calories eating than you do training in the gym. And that will equate for 10% of calories burned for the entire day. Why so? It takes energy to break down energy, to transport energy, to assimilate, to metabolize. As long as you're in a thermogenetically giving state, you're always in a calorie burning state. Always. The third part of your metabolism is called your NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. You'll burn more calories just moving more through the day than that 1 hour in the gym.
Okay. So how does one go about finding what works for their body? Because you're right. Most of us were raised on eat your vegetables and you go to the doctor real quick and they want you to eat green, leafy, healthy foods, and then you watching the Netflix special trying to go vegan. So how do you do it? How do you start?
So from a disclaimer standpoint and as a professional, first and foremost, always speak with your physician, get that physical, get that blood work done. The blood work will indicate what is the deficiencies in your anatomy, your physiology that needs to be improved by nutrition. That's one. Once you can target the deficiencies in your blood work, you can then choose the foods that are sustainable for your lifestyle and for your natural palate, right? To add into your diet up to the quantified amount of nutritional density to give you to improve on that deficiency in your blood. Great example. If you need 4,000 milligrams of calcium, vitamin C per day, right? Well, me as an individual, I know for my physical output and my body weight that I only need a 7 ounce Cara orange to get all my vitamin C in just one fruit. But based on somebody else's lifestyle, based on somebody else's body weight, etc., it may be different. So if you want to know the specifics, one, consult a physician, go get that physical and blood work done. And brothers, when you ask for that blood work, if, for those who are listening, when you ask for blood work, don't just say I need blood work done. Ask for a complete panel, especially for my melanated folks, right? When you say that XYZ is bothering you and you don't give them a specific symptom or ailment, they will not check for it. Specifically, vitamin D, right?
Right.
Culturally, demographically, and geographically, here in the United States, they know that Black people's vitamin D is low across the board. Why so? Because our melanin blocks us from getting sufficient UVI in order to absorb it from the sun. So, demographically, geographically, and culturally, they don't even bother testing for it if you specifically don't ask for it.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's the first step. And then the second step is choosing foods that is sustainable to your natural lifestyle. You don't have to eat chicken and broccoli in order to, meet your goal. You can literally have that burger. You know why? Because the body does not know food. The body knows chemical. And everything you consume is a chemical when broken down. And as long as you have a sufficiency of that chemical process to what your body requires to live off of, it doesn't matter what you if you don't it doesn't matter if you deem it junk food, healthy, or whatever. The body will utilize whatever you provided up to a certain degree of use of benefit. Now, mind you, yes, there is truth to eating more organic to process, but ultimately the body doesn't know the difference.
Okay.
When you eat that chicken, it breaks down into protein, right? But guess
Right.
what? The body doesn't know that chicken, doesn't know that's chicken. The body doesn't even know that's protein from chicken. Even more so, take it further. The body can't even directly use protein. It's too big of a molecule. The body must now take that protein that it extracted from that chicken and then break it down to amino acid. If the body cannot receive the monomer state of a nutritional value of nutrient, it can't be utilized.
So what are some of the mistakes that you see new beginners make when they make the decision to become bodybuilders? What goes through your mind when you're at the gym working out and it's New Year's because that's coming around, right? So
Yeah.
everybody gonna go and get a gym membership. What's some of the things that you notice?
And yeah, good brother, and it's true what they say that comparison is the death of happiness. Most of our youth and the men who are trying to be better in their own right, they try to compare where they are to someone who was there once upon a time and now have what they want to achieve, right? And they don't realize the sacrifices, the protocols, everything that goes into getting there. And when they believe that the effort they're applying to even resemble what that person they're comparing themselves to, when they believe that their effort is as great as theirs, they give up right away because man, I'm putting all this work. I'm not seeing an ab yet. I still got this little flab here. I can't do five. Well, because you're trying to mimic somebody's effort to your own. Unfortunately, it don't work that way. And for most individuals, whether they're seasoned but not proficient, and those who are amateur in the gym, they don't understand they don't understand what it takes to work outside of their comfort zone. Most men specifically, I'm talking about the men specifically, they'll walk into the gym, right? And they'll do the same routine in the same effort, in the same manner, under the same variables, without any change at all. And they expect for them to have gotten the results of the person they compare themselves to in 9 months to a year. And unfortunately, they get no results
Right.
because that process was not for you. You didn't listen to what your body's asking for.
Hmm. So, what about the mental part of it? The mental aspect. Um, Talk to us a little bit about how does one prepare his or her mind to be healthier from a mental place? Because you're right. There's a lot of us that are going to the gym and going through the motions, going through the same routine.
Right. So the mental part is literally, so I'm gonna break it down in percentages, right? And this is a conversation that we amongst ourselves who want to do better, we tend to compartmentalize our effort into percentages, right? We'll say, oh yeah, it's 50% diet, 50% training. Nah, bruh. It's 100% training, 100% diet, because why would you give half-assed effort to anything?
Right.
So the mindset is literally the bulk of getting prepared to even get started. It's not even getting started. It's the mindset is the key to just open the door to wanting to get started without getting started. So for me personally, anytime I'm getting ready to prepare for a competition, specifically bodybuilding, you must give yourself ample time to really get into a rhythm, which is why I typically diet down for about 30 plus weeks.
Okay.
And then when I get down to that last 10 to 8 weeks, is when I'm really locked in. But by that time, I've conditioned my body, I've conditioned my routine, I've conditioned my body into being consistent enough to say, okay, these last 8 weeks, I'm going to lose that last bit of body fat to maintain as much muscle as possible to say, okay, now I'm ready to get on stage. You need time.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Let me ask you this before we go into water, right?
Okay.
So some of the concern seems to be, what do men with families do? Okay. Um, when it comes to eating to be healthy and being around the table. So what advice do you have for that brother that wants to go bodybuilding, but they got a family and they shopping for groceries on a budget? How does all of that work?
So I can speak to that, with very good detail because I have a 10-year-old son, I have a lady, and I have a somewhat, social life, somewhat. um, your actions as it pertains to bodybuilding will be the reflection of your household, right? Just because you have to do chicken and broccoli or tuna and rice does not mean your family can enjoy the same as well. And
Okay.
when you know how to eat to your macro, you actually save more money than being tempted or distracted to the variability of what your family likes. Great example. I don't mind regular chicken thighs, right? But
Right.
my 10-year-old son like chicken nuggets. Okay. I take that chicken thigh and break it down to a chicken nugget. Ain't no different. What I eat is what they eat, but I can design it to their palate.
Okay.
If my lady wants no chicken parm, okay, I'll take that chicken thigh, I'll egg it, I bread it, all of the same amount of ingredients that I bought for myself for my prep. So great example. When I prep for myself, my weekly shopping list for myself is about $75 for the week. I can
Okay.
get about 28 meals for the week off $75 because I'm buying specifically what I need to hit my goal. I buy no extra. So not only was I being economically, wise about my spending, but was sustainable to my diet per my goals. I'm able to share that amongst my family based on what their palate desires.
Okay. All right. I like that. That makes a lot of sense. So let me ask you this, man. It everybody needs water, right?
Right.
And we know not to go drink out of a pool. We know that we can't go to the ocean and drink out that. We know not to drink out of certain rivers and everything. You don't know what's floating in the bottom of it. So what's up with drinking this tap water when I look at the grocery store in the water aisle, they got all of these choices. So
Right.
which one should I get? Should I get the spring water or what should I do?
So ultimately, water is water, right?
Okay.
And when it comes down to tap water versus distilled versus spring versus alkaline, it really comes down to what is the most convenient to your immediate most convenient and accessible to your either your budget or to your lifestyle. I
Okay.
don't mind drinking tap water. I grew up on it. It ain't killed me yet. But I do understand that in order to make it usable, there's a certain amount of chemicals that must go into it to make it palatable, right? And digestible. Well, guess
Right.
what? Almost every chemical you present the body internally, the body can filter out for the most part.
Okay.
And when we talk about toxicity of the tap water, dosage dictates toxicity, not the chemical itself. Dosage dictates toxicity, not the chemical itself. The body can damn near filter all chemicals that you provided depending on the dosage. Great example. Would you ever consume purposely 1,000 milligrams of sodium?
No.
Yes, you would. And you're doing it already. 1,000 milligrams of sodium is less than a fourth of a teaspoon. You heard 1,000 and became concerned. 1,000 milligrams is very small. It's less than a fourth of a teaspoon. You do more than that in a day and don't realize it.
Right. Right.
So the dosage dictates the toxicity, not the chemical itself. So, but pertaining to alkaline water and so on, irrelevant. I'm gonna say that emphatically, irrelevant, because just because you receive a level of alkalinity does not mean you're going to absorb the benefit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even more so, the goal is not to be in an alkaline state. The goal is never to be in an alkaline state. That's how they sell it. And this is the science. The goal is to be neutral. The goal is
Right.
to be as neutral as possible. So what does that mean? That means if my body is exhibiting levels of high acidity, I introduce alkalinity to bring me back to neutral as possible. Being in an alkalitic state is equally unhealthy than being overly acidic. Why so? You need the bacterias and the acidity to break stuff down. To be in an alkaline state consistently means you are dealing with what's called alkalosis. Your body is so clean, you can't digest nothing. So now you're making a breeding ground for the worst bacteria and viruses and pathogens to inhabit your body.
Mm.
The goal is not to be in alkalytic. The goal is not to be alkalytic. The goal is to be as neutral as possible. If my body is too acidic, I introduce alkalinity to bring me back close to neutral.
Okay.
So the marketing behind alkaline and all of that is just that. It's just marketing. It's beautiful marketing. is selling you peace of mind. You are willing to spend $2, $3 more for peace of mind, and that is okay. But don't demonize an individual or a body of people who can't afford that additional $3 because the marketing told you it was healthier. Wrong.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that. What? Talk to us a little bit about timing. I see a lot of brothers struggling whether they should work out in the morning, work out in the evening. How do you map that out?
So time variables and feeding windows is specific and individualized to lifestyle. It is specific to your lifestyle. Great example. You got a teacher, you got a construction worker. They can be the same weight, same age, same height, same BMI, same body fat. If you put them on the equal amount of calories, right, they will lose the same amount of weight at different time frames. Why? The construction worker is much more physically engaging throughout the day, so they burn energy much more than the teacher because the teacher is sedentary more so. What does that mean? That means that the construction worker would need more meals to keep that energy threshold up to do their laboring job. But the teacher, they won't need as many meals because they're not moving as much, burning as much energy throughout the day. So your
Okay.
activity and your feeding window is specific to your lifestyle. Great example. My day starts at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? My first client is at 5 a.m. I'm in the gym most times until 10 a.m., sometimes noon. My first meal most days is not until 1 p.m. because my lifestyle dictates that. But guess what? As long as I'm getting my calories in, don't matter if it's 1 meal or 20 meals, my calorie is my calorie.
Okay. So what about intermittent fasting?
Another misunderstood tool. Intermittent fasting is not a diet. It is a tool to use alongside your natural lifestyle. So, great example. My day starts at 5 a.m.,
Mhm.
right? I don't get my first meal until sometime noon, 1 p.m. That is me unintentionally intermittent fasting because my lifestyle dictates that. Intermittent fasting is a tool you use alongside your natural diet to help you reduce the amount of meals and calories you're getting in a day. But guess
Mhm.
what? You can take someone who does fasting for Ramadan, right?
Right.
They eat a load of calories before the sun comes up. They don't do much activity throughout the day because it's either forbidden or that's what they're fasting off of, right? Well, the amount of calories they consumed before the sun came up was well over their caloric maintenance. The excess gets stored as body fat. They end up being heavier after Ramadan because you ate too many calories, regardless of how many meals you eat.
Right.
And because you didn't burn off the excess over your BMR, you're going to store it. So intermittent fasting is irrelevant as a tool if you can't be disciplined to the amount of calories you're consuming in a day. Whether it's 1 meal or 20 meals, your calories is your calories. Great example, good brother. Would you prefer 1,000 calorie salad or 1,000 calorie buffet?
They both the same.
They're both the same.
I got that right.
But brother,
Okay.
I want the buffet. You know why? For that same 1,000 calories, I get variety. Versus
Mhm.
that measly salad, I get nothing more out of that.
Right. Right.
But with the variety, I can make sure I'm meeting all of my vitamin needs over various foods.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna come back to that salad in a minute because I done seen some big salads in my day. But I wanna get this out because we've got a couple of questions from our Facebook audience.
Okay,
And the first one is about creatine.
go for it.
When's the proper time to take creatine? And creatine. I got to feel it. Doesn't the body produce that naturally?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I didn't mention is I also own a supplement company. I am the owner and creator of Deliberate Nutrition Supplement Company. I founded it back in 2016, originally as Raw, which is Rodney R. Addison Wellness, but I rebranded in 2019 as DN or Deliberate Nutrition.
Okay.
So I can tell you in detail the science behind supplements as well, because I actually custom formulate all my products myself out of 2 laboratories here in the States. Yes, your body does make creatine naturally. It's called creatine. It is the waste product left over after muscle, but you can get creatine from just eating 3 to 5 ounces of protein sources. So you don't have to take the supplement specifically. But if you are someone who, again, is based on lifestyle and feeding windows, if the time you get to the gym did not meet the window requirement of getting a meal in, digesting it, and extracting, getting it in its powdered form is the next best thing. Creatine is the oldest and most studied supplement we know in sports science and sports nutrition. It has no side effects when utilized to the recommended dosage. Creatine's main job is to pull excess water directly into the muscle to make it more ATP performing. What is ATP? It's Addison triphosphate. It's the actual energy molecule that goes into the mitochondria of the cell to make you explosive for those first 15 or so minutes. And how much creatine your body can actually utilize is based upon how lean and how active your muscle fibers are. So if you're just taking it, you may not feel the peak benefit of it all. But if you use it in accordance to your physical output, your training, conditioning, and etc., you will feel how you should feel, and it'll make you feel as though you're stronger than what you thought you really were. So
Okay.
the only creatine you need, because there's about a trillion different varieties out there, you only need monohydrate creatine. Anything outside of that is a gimmick. Like creatine, they got creatine with tuberine in it, right? And they call that creatine for women only, right? Nonsense. It's marketing. So it's just marketing.
Right.
Monohydrate creatine is all you need. It's cheap.
Okay. So how long should someone work out? Is it 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours?
So I'll answer that from a point of personal development, right?
Okay.
As an individual, I only train for 30 minutes, 4 days a week, because I train heavy.
Okay.
I'm very intentional about every movement. And because of my experiences, I understand that you don't train for muscle, you train for movement. And the better you move, the better the muscle responds. So in my field of preference of training, I prefer heavy as a bodybuilder, right? To try to keep muscle density as I get older. But for someone who is an athlete who needs to be athletic and reflect in that means of let's say basketball, you may not train heavy. You're trained for volume. And that would dictate that you may be training a little longer than someone who's trained heavier. Because the heavier you train, the faster you expend energy and fatigue the fiber, you ain't got no hour in you.
True.
Not at the intensity that you should be training to trigger hypertrophy. So it doesn't matter what your goal is, whether it's an hour, hour and a half, 30 minutes, your goal as a individual who wants intentional results is to train for hypertrophy. What is hypertrophy? Hypertrophy is the state you put the body in to create more muscle fiber. If I feed and recover that fiber, it becomes lean muscle tissue over time.
Okay.
So if you're in there to just to conjugate and have camaraderie, that's cute. That's cute. But if you want goal staking results, you have to be intentional and you have to train for hypertrophy. And once you achieve that consistency and hypertrophy output, you must then train for progressive overload.
Okay. All right. Then hypertrophy and progressive overload. Those are the words of the day. Brothers, grab a pen and paper and write that down. Hypertrophy and progressive overload. Okay. I
Absolutely.
appreciate you breaking that down to us.
Whether
Let
you're young or old, the goal is to sustain muscle. Doesn't matter
Mhm.
who you are, man or woman. The goal is to sustain. I can't say this. Don't focus on weight or fat loss as the result of losing muscle. Don't do it. Do not do it. Muscle is the organ of longevity.
Yeah. All right. I feel that. I feel that. I feel it. So let me ask you this. Protein, does it differ between men and women?
No, it does not.
Okay,
No, it
so
does
talk
not.
to us
And,
about
and,
it.
and, and that's one of those gross science, misogynistic myths. Is that protein is a man thing. Unfortunately, it's not. Women need more protein than men do in terms of sustainability and longevity. Because especially for black women, listen up here. Zoom in, black women. Because you are prone culturally and geographically for osteo issues, it's typically because you would yo-yo diet throughout your 25 years of trying to be fit and healthy, right?
Mhm.
That you create a habit of muscle destruction that breeds in comorbidities and issues because you try to be too trendy with your health.
Yes.
Protein becomes amino acids. Amino acids become the building blocks of keeping you alive across the board: hair, eyes, nails, blood, eyesight, skin, all of it. You need protein, but you have to be able to digest protein to its monomer state. Now, in terms of health, there is a marker of how much you need for health in retrospect to trying to be fit, right? That's why it's health and fitness. Sometimes you must sacrifice one to get to the other.
Okay.
So, like,
All
great
right.
example, bodybuilding in its natural sense is not healthy. Can it be done in a healthy way? Absolutely, but it takes longer. So most people will sacrifice the long game of health to get short-term fitness and then try to rebound their health. Do
Mhm.
both.
Okay. Okay. I feel that. I appreciate that. That makes sense. Pre-workouts. Let's go.
Okay. So let's break the pre-workout down into its chemical compounds, right? Pre-workouts are typically two different, main ingredients. You got your amino acids and you got your stimulus. The stimulus is typically some form of caffeine, right? Your amino acids can come in a variety of factors. It could come in the biggest citric malate, L-arginine, beta-alanine, and about 15 other ones for the most part, as it pertains to health, fitness, and building muscle. And then you got your BCAAs, right? But pre-workout, its goal is to maximize vasodilation. Unfortunately, commercial brand pre-workouts, they give you all this caffeine, but that little bit of amino acid. So you end up with the pookie scratch and the pruritus. So you end up with the palpitations and the redness and all that. Because they gave you all this caffeine and that much amino acid. Why is that irregular? You want this much amino to that much caffeine. But because caffeine is
Okay.
10 cents on the dollar, 7 cents on the dollar, it's cheaper to put a bulk of that into the product and call it effective. So you got that rush of blood, right? Wrong. You want the vasodilation from the amino acids to relax the artery to promote natural blood flow. And then
Okay.
that little bit of caffeine will kick it to pick up the pace. But commercial products, they give you all this caffeine, and it's going to punch all that blood flow through an artery that's not ready to stretch. So that harsh blood flow causes the pruritus, the palpitations, the heavy palpitations. You can't catch your breath feeling because it's in reverse. So the meathead would say, "Oh, that rush feel good. No, that rush is too much. It shouldn't feel that way."
Right. Okay.
You want more relaxation of the artery to promote natural blood flow with a little bit of kick from caffeine.
Okay. All right. So this question is for some of the older brothers that may be trying to get back out in the streets a little bit. And I think you may know where I'm going with this. So when you go in and you buy the T pills, testosterone and all of that. Talk to us about that, and if it's safe to stop at the 7-Eleven to get them pills on Friday night.
They ain't nothing but placebo caffeine, brother. That's all it is. And but again, because caffeine comes in a variety of derivative terms. Great
Mhm.
example, ketone extracts. That's caffeine. Uh Dextrose, sucrose, all those oses, those are forms of sugars and caffeines. But because you don't know the actual name behind it, they market it as something that's of a benefit. Ain't nothing but caffeine,
Mm.
right? So to the point of the older gentleman who's probably having issues with improving on their testosterone, you know why it dropped? It's not because of it's not because you're not creating enough of it anymore. It's because as an adult, as we get older, we start to doing real life adulting. We stop moving around,
Okay.
right? We went from hopscotch and tagging, playing them games, clubbing, to sitting at a desk.
Mm-hmm.
The science says that between the ages of 25 to 50, the metabolism only really slows down maybe 10% because the bulk of the activity expenditure is no longer available. You stop being active. And what happens is, if I don't have a need to create, my body stops producing.
Okay.
So what most men don't realize is, men, you got 4 types of testosterone. Did you know that? You got 4. The one we talk about the most is called free testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is, as we stop being muscularly engaging, our body starts to slow down in the production, and then the ability to utilize becomes lesser. You don't have an issue with producing, you have an issue with transportation and utilization.
Okay. What are the other testosterones? This is interesting.
So the terminologies used for it, the names are long, and I can't even pronounce them, regularly. But just know that the one we talked about the most when it comes time to fitness is our free testosterone, the one that's readily available to be utilized when activity is triggered. If
Okay.
you don't use it, you lose it, essentially. So once that man starts to get active again, he starts having the higher libido. He starts having, the stiffer erection. He starts having the energy output because you're putting the free testosterone that was being dormanted back to usage.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, mind you, buying the test boosters at a GNC or at 7-Eleven does not work. It's a placebo. It's nothing but a stimulant to help you activate testosterone that you already have. It will do nothing, it will do next to nothing, very minute in terms of production. The only form of producing testosterone is the pharmaceutical grade that must be prescribed to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's coming from that's coming from the doc. I got you. All right. Okay. So what about bodybuilding and autoimmune disorders, or people who are trying to get into it and they have other comorbidities and other ailments that they are having to battle against at the same time?
I can never speak to that, from experiences. I coach individuals in bodybuilding who have MS, type 1 diabetes, so on and so on. So I can speak to this from a scientific standpoint. When done safely, when done in conjunction alongside with your physician openly, right? Protocols can be put in place over a certain time frame to yield appropriate bodybuilding results. Most individuals want that popcorn effect. I need to see abs now. I need to see that double peak now. I need to see the striations in my legs now. But you can't do that when you have an autoimmune disease like lupus and MS and ALS and all those issues, right? You have to work in conjunction with the medical, holistic, and fitness world as a team. As a team,
Mhm.
it's very possible to be a high level athlete in bodybuilding when you take the appropriate time.
Okay, that makes sense. And the key word there is team.
It's team. It's team.
So you got to go to the doctor more than once a year.
Absolutely. If you want to be a long lasting bodybuilder, meaning more than 2 years, you have to have a good team of caring practitioners behind you. Unfortunately, in the bulk of the bodybuilding space, it's about getting that medal behind your name as a coach. Oh yeah, I coach Mr. Olympia. Yeah, I coach 50 pro winners. They care more so about that than your health.
Right.
Not me at all. Personally, I don't do bodybuilding coaching unless I know you already have a mindset and an aptitude for it already. I
Okay.
take on maybe 2 or 3 bodybuilding clients per year purposely. So I don't want to be lumped in with all these other knuckleheads of trying to just get another pro card behind my name. I'm not with that. I am I am an educator through and through. If I cannot teach you to do what's appropriate outside my presence, then what I have to offer is not for you.
Mhm. Well, how does someone, um, uh-oh, hold on, wait a minute. I don't
So
want to
go
miss
for it.
this question. There is a question from our Facebook audience. And I think it's a really, really good question to ask a nutritionist. Whoever's posting this question in terms of exercise and mental health, shout out to you. And we appreciate that because right about now in our society, we need to figure out a way to talk about mental health in lieu of nutrition. Um, Oh, it's winter. Hey girl, how you doing? Soro, I love you, man. We miss you. We can't wait to come out there and get some of your cupcakes so we can go back to Rodney and hit the gym and he can tell us how to work it off because we supporting both of y'all.
Well,
So talk to us about
I got a sweet tooth, so I got a bad sweet tooth.
right. We got to come out there. Look. So here's the thing. What she's asking is real though. So what about exercise and mental health? Talk to us about that.
Exercise is the original antidepressant.
Okay.
Exercise is the original antidepressant. It will secrete your feel-good hormones, epinephrine, dopamine, adrenaline, which would yield into your processes of fight and flight, cortisol, relaxation, etc. It goes hand in hand, especially when you do just enough of it to produce your euphoric effect of dopamine.
Okay.
It is the original antidepressant. It goes hand in hand, especially when you're doing it for means other than just for weight loss.
Mhm.
One of the hit a boxing bag, man. That's a stress relief. And what most people don't realize is stress is a chemical. Anxiety is a chemical known as cortisol. You are purposely manifesting it based on your mental state, well before your physical state. Great example. You can think yourself sick.
Mm.
You ever thought about your great grandmother who passed away, who loved also dearly, and you get knots in your stomach thinking about her, or that,
Right.
that loved one who left you because whatever it means, you get that pit in your stomach.
Yeah.
That's you negatively and purposely secreting cortisol to react to your mental state. And that mental secretion becomes physical trauma.
Hmm.
It's called cortisol. But mind you, stress and cortisol is not inherently bad. Exercise is a form of stress.
Hmm.
But the benefit of it all is the result of better body composition, lower body fat, more energy, so on, so on, so on. It was purposely utilized for the benefit of your immediate satisfaction.
Okay.
So, great example. You have two types of stressors. You got psychological stress and you got physical stress, both of which you are within your right to control based on your mental state. There are those who are in a slump of a mental state who go to the gym and just do very minor activity and can pick themselves up just an iota of a percentage just for that moment. And what you do after the fact will dictate the rest of your day.
Facts. Okay. So let me ask you this, because we're heading towards our time here. Do you think the culture is being helpful in terms of people becoming more healthy, or do you see it as people are going to the gym, men and women, for the trend?
I'll put it this way, and
Okay.
I'm gonna separate it based on gender. Our culture specifically, right, as a people, we take everything given to us and we manifest an outcome, whether good or bad, whether it's for ourselves or for the community as a whole. From a gender standpoint, what I've noticed in my last few years, I've seen that women specifically have been taking more advantage of what was once a man's thing, and they're benefiting from it. And women, kudos to y'all. I'm seeing right now in the current, there are more women in bodybuilding than there are men.
Oh wow. Okay.
There are literally right now in this moment, there are more women going to the gym than men across the board, across every age group. From a man's standpoint, especially from amongst our culture and our community, we have retrograded back into a point of just trying to survive and have forgotten what society deemed us as manly, as being masculine, as being muscular, as being a dominant energy. And a lot of that came from the physical before it came from the mental, because they would look at us and say, "Oh, that man got to be an alpha man because he's a muscular man," not knowing that man dying inside mentally.
Right.
So, is the culture helping? It's not. It's not. The culture's not helping because we, as a man or woman, we demonize, we antagonize, and we harm those who are looking to do better. And we see the culture of it on social media. We see someone who's obese on the treadmill, and then in the background, somebody's laughing. And it's typically be your own people.
Mm-hmm.
The culture ain't helping. If anything, you take your slice of the culture and you utilize it to the benefit of your immediate needs, regardless of what is going on around you outside of what you can control.
Yeah. Yeah. That's deep, man. That's deep. So we hitting our time, and let's do this right here. Give us one piece of advice, man, from the heart that you would want the audience to know tonight from your experiences, from the things that you have seen. What's something that we can take with us and think on tonight?
Um, be honest with yourself.
Mm,
Because a lot of the times, and I'm gonna be very comical about it because it's comical. Because men and women specifically, the expectations of what you think you deserve as it pertains to health and fitness, you don't deserve it because you didn't earn it. Be honest with yourself. A lot of the times, women specifically, women talk right now, real quick. Women specifically believe if I'm a certain weight, I'm gonna look a certain way, not knowing that your body weight has nothing to do with your health. It has nothing to do with your overall body composition, right? You can be 200 pounds and look 160. But in your mind, women overinflate that I gotta be this weight to be pleasing, to be sexy, or to be accepted. Nah, be honest with yourself. Men, unfortunately, the notion that you have to be this masculine, this muscular energy to be a masculine man, drop that notion, right? Because a lot of times it's based upon its effort times genetics. A lot of times you don't have the genetics to be the man you envision yourself to be muscular wise, but you can work on yourself, character, personality, to be more accepting, not only to yourself, but to the population, to the general population. Although we don't do it for that, but be realistic with yourself. If you are 6 feet, an ectomorph body type, don't expect to look like Mr. Olympia. It's just not in your cards most times. Your genetics will dictate the outcome of your muscular capacity. Naturally anyway. Gotta throw natural in there. Gotta throw
Right.
natural in there, naturally. But you know what? Be okay with that.
Yeah.
Great example. I grew up the Urkel. I was that skinny kid with the big head, the literally bifocals, clothes didn't fit me no matter what size they were. But you can change your body type. You can change your body type, right? By
Right.
knowing how to eat and train for your body type. You do not have to be what you are currently, but you do have to be realistic about what you think you deserve based on the effort you apply. Most men do not ever in their lifetime train for progressive overload. They go in there and do that same routine they got out of Muscle Magazine back in 1995, doing the bro splits of chest this day, arms that day, legs that day, back this day, expecting to be Phil Heath or Ronnie Coleman. It ain't gonna happen because you don't understand what it takes to train for progressive overload. And if you don't never train with someone who trains harder than you will only ever train to the peak of your comfort level. And that's just what it is. Be honest with yourself.
Okay. All right. Okay, folks, audience, y'all have it. We need to be honest with ourselves. We need to train for progressive overload, and we need to make sure that we understand the importance of getting out there and speaking with a nutritionist, not just going to the gym just for looks, but making sure that we do it right and making sure that we have a good functioning understanding of what it really means to bodybuild. And as our brother told us, that may not be walking around everybody with a six pack. That may be walking around with what God gave you. Making sure that you look good in what He gave you, and ultimately that you are healthy, both mentally, physically, and I'm gonna add on spiritually as well. All right, everybody. Well, this has been our time. Big bro, it has been a pleasure, man, talking to you, man. We appreciate everything that you are doing, man. We look forward to getting in touch with you. In fact, how can we get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So you can reach me on any of my social medias, Facebook being Rodney G. Addison. You can reach me on Instagram at r.addison_wellness. You can take my cell number down. I answer text messages. Don't call me. Text me. I'm always busy. You can shoot me a text at 862-284-7481. I'm always accessible when it comes down to educating.
Okay. All right, y'all heard it. Hit Mike Jones up on the low because Mike Jones about to blow. He threw his number out there for y'all. All right, then, man. Well, I appreciate you. Again, everybody, thank you so much. This has been another Sigma virtual hour with your boy K Easley and our big brother Rodney Addison. Peace out.